Does the West still need Christianity? Here are the arguments. The first argument for Christianity and the West is that Christianity is foundational to Western values, to Western principles. Many scholars agree, many of our philosophies, many of the axioms of the West have its roots in Christian faith. Human rights is an obvious example. The idea that all humans are equal has its roots in Christianity, in the idea that we're all made in God's image, that we're all children of God. Obviously, this was not enacted equally over time, but nevertheless, that's a core tenet, a core value of Western society. Can a society function if it becomes untethered from its roots? An analogy might be, if you had an iPhone, and it had the camera, and it had the screen, and it had the outer casing, but it didn't have the circuits inside, would it still work? Well, obviously the answer is no. It wouldn't even be a phone. Likewise, if you had the same phone and it had the circuits and it had an interface and it had the camera, all the wiring inside, but there was no outer shell, it might still work, but it would be flimsy. It wouldn't last very long. The point is the phone is actually greater than the sum of its parts, and if you remove any one part, it won't function in the same way. The same could be true of a society like the West. If you remove any one aspect, will it still function in the same way? If we remove Christianity, or we lose touch with Christianity and the Christian values, will we lose touch with important aspects of the Western philosophy, of the Western value system? Another argument for Christianity is well-being. Many studies have shown that there is a correlation between attending religious practices and having religious faith and having greater sense of well-being. This is both subjective well-being and actual health outcomes. People who attend church regularly even live longer. They have lower blood pressure. Now, correlation doesn't always equal causation, but regardless, there is some aspect of religion that increases people's well-being. Now, it could be that surrounding yourself with like-minded people, maybe it's a release valve, a release of stress, perhaps attending church promotes healthier habits, whether it's the community that you get, whether it's the like-minded individuals that you spend time with, it does correlate to greater sense of well-being. Another aspect is the connection to God. This is this subtle, ethereal thing that people experience when they pray, or through meditation, or through contemplation. There is a subtle connection to a higher power that can be hard to put your finger on exactly what that is. But billions of people across religions have experienced this thing when they engage in their religious practices. When we think about religion, we think about what are the stories. We also think in terms of what are the rites, what are the rituals. But one key component of religion is religious experience. What do people subjectively get from it? And one of the main aspects that people get from their religion is having this very subtle, deep connection to God. It's the connection to the ethereal. It would be a tragedy if we lost that. What about the arguments against religion? Well, one is that in the West, we now simply understand the universe better. We have a better map of reality. We understand the Big Bang and that how we didn't need an omnipotent creator to create the universe. We can explain this through the laws of physics. Darwinism showed how complex life forms can evolve over time through the survival of the fittest. Again, not that we need an omnipotent creator to make that so, to make that happen. But evolutionary psychology has also come up with many theories and explanations as to why humans and how humans developed religious belief. There are theories like the trance hypothesis, that humans would elicit a type of euphoria through chanting and through drumming, and it would bind communities together, and then this became religious practices. There's the moralizing gods hypothesis, which says that as we began to get more complex emotional systems like guilt and revenge, that the idea of developing some kind of deity that could manage those beliefs, manage those emotions, also became an imperative. There's the hyperactive detection system theory, which says that if human beings saw a rustle in the bushes or in the grass nearby, if they attributed meaning to that, they were more likely to survive, because it could be a predator, it could just be the wind. And so people with a stronger proclivity to attribute meaning to things were more likely to survive and pass on genes. Regardless, whichever theory it may be, and there are detractors of those theories, we have a pretty good map from evolutionary psychology as to why religion can emerge. Another argument is that Christianity promotes bad ideas such as homophobia. There have been many studies that have shown that people with increased likelihood of conservative Christian values also have higher increased levels of homophobia. People who have very conservative Christian values are also more likely to score higher on an irrational belief scale and have greater amounts of homophobia. How many human beings, untold human beings, have lived a life of quietude or even full-on persecution because of their sexuality? This is largely due to the homophobia and the bad ideas that were promoted in the Christian faith. When there was an initiative to hand out condoms in Africa to prevent AIDS from spreading, Pope Benedict XVI actually said that it may make the problem worse. Again, there have been a host of bad ideas that have caused people harm. Another argument is that we don't need religion to be moral. One argument that people put forward is that we need Christianity, we need religion to be moral. But secular humanists like Sam Harris argue against this. Sam Harris would say that our moral intuitions, our moral toolkit comes outside of the text. For example, he says if you take the book of Matthew and look at the golden rule, so whatever you wish that others would do to you, do unto them, we believe that to be a good value, to be a good principle. However, if you look at Deuteronomy, it says that if a woman is not a virgin on the night of her wedding, that she should be stoned to death. We pick and choose the aspects of religion that we choose to value, that we think are moral, and we discard others. Regardless, the point is our morality comes from outside of the text. So here are just some of the arguments for and against religion. Religion is foundational to the West, that it promotes well-being, that it gives us a connection to God, whatever God may mean to you. The arguments against are that we understand the universe simply better today, that we don't need religion to be moral, and that it can promote bad ideas. So let me know what you think. Does the West still need Christianity? Does the West still need religion? Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you, and if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe.